Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the 101 podcast. I'm extremely excited to have a special guest here today who's a prolific and very respected trainer in the industry. This is a guy that's going to be sharing his journey and knowledge with us. This is a guy that has trained athletes who have accumulated career earnings of nearly $500 million. From future Hall of Famers in multiple sports all the way down to some kid named Omar Almodovar. Nick Soto, thank you for coming out here today.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it. You got through that. I like it.
Someday, only 4 times it took, but we're here now.
Nice.
First of all, congratulations. Had baby girl last week. How's mom? How's the girl?
Everybody's healthy, luckily. Baby was in ICU for a couple of days, but she's out, and everybody's home and healthy. So happy.
Girl dad twice.
Girl dad, bro. Girl dad all the way, man. I got too many boys, so... You know, I got hundreds and hundreds of boys, so God decided to give me a couple girls along the way, you know?
Awesome. Super happy for you. Thank you for coming out here today, first of all.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
First off season that I'm not there, but I've been keeping up. I know that you added a ton of studs this year. How was this off season, and who are some of the new guys you added to the family?
Yeah, it's been a really, really cool off season, man. So MJ Melendez came on board. Zach Neto, who's playing here today, actually came on board. Who else we got? The Gurriel brothers, Gene Segura has been training me for a little bit now. A few other guys, but some studs out there that I expect to move up. You know, some of the regular guys that have been coming with me for a while. You know, Romy, Manny. Although Manny was doing a lot of rehabbing this year back in San Diego, we got to work a little bit at the end, and you know. The regular guys, Sal Stewart, all those guys. You know.
Who were some of the guys that you saw make the biggest jump this year?
I saw a big jump from Sal. Just his body's changing. He's turning into a man body, you know, and the training is catching up to his growth into manhood. So he had a really good off season. I expect big things from him. MJ had a monster off season. Zach had a great offseason. He got exposed to things he's never been exposed to before, so I think that's going to go well for him. And you already see what Junito's doing. Lourdes Gurriel is just tearing it up already.
3 home runs already.
Yeah. So he's already tearing it up. But I'm also excited for some of the minor leaguers that came in there and worked hard, and we should see some big jumps in their numbers, I'm hoping. And more importantly, you know, a healthy, long season for all of them.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Sal because I've been keeping up with him, and I saw he got some experience in big league spring training this year. He looks comfortable. He's going to be up there soon, and you can already see his body starting to change. But it wasn't overnight. A lot of years of putting in work with you that has gotten him to this point, and he's just getting started. I always like to take it back and kind of paint the picture of where you got to where you are today.
Yeah.
So I want to hear a little bit about your early years. I know you played multiple sports growing up, had a brother. Just take me through some of those early years for you.
Yeah. So I started, I think like how most performance coaches or really most coaches in all sports go as a failed athlete. You know, multiple sports, like you said, pretty good in all of them, not really great in any of them. Probably worse than I thought I was. And then a lot of injuries along the way kind of helped pave the way to kind of the right way to train, you know. And then basically as I kept trying to be, you know, some kind of pro athlete, you know, football, whatever it may be, Olympic athlete at one point as well with Taekwondo. As I was doing that, I started taking guys under my belt and training. They wanted to train and do what I was doing. And that's basically how I just fell into training guys, really, to be honest with you.
And I know you played football growing up. I know you tried a little bit of soccer. But one thing that I found out while doing some research is that you did Taekwondo, too, and you're pretty good at it. You never told me this. I had no idea.
Really? I never told you?
No idea. And then I find out you black belt, too. I need to hear that.
Yeah. So I was always, like, obsessed with, like, Bruce Lee and Jean-Claude Van Damme and all those kinds of guys. But I never really thought of it as a competitive sport. I didn't realize it was such a competitive sport, especially Taekwondo. You know, an Olympic sport and stuff like that. I was always just kind of like, oh, well, I just want to be, you know, a badass, you know? And so it's just something that I just kind of picked up along the way. And then when I realized the sport of it and the coach that I had was very much involved in the sport aspect of Taekwondo, he really pushed me. You know, I guess he saw some athletic ability in me. I don't know how, but he pushed me towards the sports side of things, and I really enjoyed it. Was an Olympic hopeful until I blew out my knee, and it was a great experience. A lot of what we do still in my training, I take back from what I learned back then. For all sports, but really with baseball, with the hip rotation and having explosive hips and stuff like that, and fluid hips, a lot of kind of what I go back to is based on what I learned ages ago back then.
Nice. And how exactly did you get into training guys? And at what moment did you realize that helping athletes is what you wanted to do?
Yeah, just it started when I was still trying to find a way to make it, you know, and guys started kind of trickling in, and it's like they would see me do all these crazy things and acceleration drills and plyometrics and, you know, and snatching and cleaning, all these Olympic type lifts and stuff like that. And they're like, well, what the heck are you doing, you know? And these guys wanted to, like, you know, I don't know, guys that wanted to walk onto FIU. I had my brother that was going to USF at the time, and he was going to go play football at USF. And I had another brother that was playing basketball at Maryville. And so these guys just started training with me. And then it just, from there, I just caught the bug. And I'm like, if I'm not going to make it, I'm going to help somebody else make it. And it just kind of grew from there. And then I knew a few guys that were either in the league or going to the league, like NFL and stuff like that. Again, like I said, college guys. And they just started training with me, and I just started developing my skill from there.
So at that point, yeah, and one thing is that you're definitely a lifelong learner because you're still developing your skills. And
100%.
Yeah, so that's very impressive. But so at what point did you realize, okay, this is something that I can do for a long time, and decide to move into your own first gym?
I was working as a personal trainer, and then I was working athletes out on the field and stuff like that. And CrossFit was popping up everywhere, right? CrossFit gyms were popping up everywhere, and there were other kinds of gyms that were more of these like kind of like box-oriented gyms that you know, and they had the turf inside and stuff. And then there was a place called it's called Exos now. I forgot the name of it. I think it was called Athletes Performance. And there was a guy named Tom Shaw out in Orlando, and these guys were out there, and they were teaching, you know, speed development and athletic performance beyond just strength training or beyond strength and conditioning to top-notch athletes, you know. And then that's when the combine was getting big, and the guys were, you know, really learning how to run the 40 right and stuff like that. And when I saw that, I'm like, I can do this, you know. That's I like that, you know. And when I had the opportunity to kind of open up our first gym, we just went all in. Me and my brother went all in. Luckily, we had, you know, some support from family and my parents, and took out loans. And we opened up our first facility, and it was kind of like that kind of, you know, it was a nitty-gritty gym. And then we quickly realized, okay, well, athletes aren't just going to show up, you know. So we had our few athletes. A lot of the athletes back then couldn't afford the training, right? So, but we still wanted to train them. So we had them come in, train for free, basically. And we're like, all right, we got to pay the bills. So we decided, hey, let's get the Gen Pop doing. Gen Pop is, you know, obviously non-sports performance kind of people. Let's get them doing sports performance. And then that kind of caught on a little bit. And then little by little, the athletes started trickling in again and stuff like that. And it's kind of how it built up through the years.
Train like an athlete. But even before that, I smiled when you said all in, because right here I have some notes that I took.
Okay.
And one of the big things in this podcast is that we like to talk about going all in. Whatever it is that you want to pursue, don't half-ass it. Go all in on it, because that's when you really get results. Did you take out a loan against your house to open up that first gym?
I did, yeah. I did, my brother did, and then my parents took out the rest.
That's crazy, you know that, right? And it looks like it's worked out, but that's the definition of being all in. That's pretty cool to see. Were there nights that you're like, man, is this going to work out? And how was that process?
All the time. I mean, there's still nights that I'm like, is this going to work out?
I think you've answered that already, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So, and your brother was all in on it, family as well, or they're like, you know, is this something that you want to pursue?
No, I think they already knew, you know. I think my brother was trying to find, you know, he had just finished playing himself. He was kind of, I caught him on the tail end of where I was when I started, which is like, I still want to play, but I think, you know, I'm pretty good at coaching this also. Yeah. So he saw my vision, and he's just like, all right, let's do this, you know. And he lasted for a little while, and then you know, he's off doing his own thing now. But he's killing it. So
no, that's awesome. Yeah. So then I know you've always been a big football guy, NFL guys, combine. Then you got into baseball and ran with it, to say the least.
Yeah.
How'd you get into baseball? Was Yonder Alonso your first guy?
Right. Yeah.
How'd you guys meet, and how did that?
So I knew Yonder since he was in high school. Actually, he went to school with my brother, and so when he got drafted, he was very, he's a totally loyal guy, and he wanted to stay with his strength coach for a while, even though he knew what I was doing. So every once in a while he'd come in and we'd do some stuff together. But really he stayed with his longtime kind of private performance coach at the time. And a few years into the league, he just saw that it wasn't going the way that he thought his career was going to go. And he reached out to me kind of towards the end of one season. He was with the A's at that time. And he's like, man, like, this is just not what I want out of my career. Like, I'm ready to make a big change, and I need you to be a big part of that change. And I was like, all right, yeah, let's go, bro. What do you need? And then he's like, no, you gotta design my workouts. I'm gonna bring Manny with me, Machado. I'm gonna bring him with me, and I need you to do what you do, but I need you to shift it towards baseball. Yeah. But what you do is what we're looking for, which is kind of like that explosiveness and resilience and stuff like that, and really focusing on the tissue development. And he was seeing kind of like where my training was heading at the time, because I was evolving through the years also, as he was evolving in his career, I was evolving in my training. And we put something together. I shot it out to him. I'm like, take a look at it. Let me know what you think. He's really smart when it comes to that stuff. He knows all the exercises inside and out. When I send him something, he could see it, And he's like, yeah, bro, this is what I'm looking for. Let's do this. And we had a monster offseason. It was basically just us three. Mostly we trained at the U, and then we had access to the field there. We had access to their little weight room at the time. It's a beautiful weight room now, and then we train at Elite also, at my original gym, and we just got after it for like 4 months, just hard, and came out that season, hit 29 bombs, should have hit 30. Seattle held him back. Am I allowed to call out a team like that?
Hey.
Seattle held him back at the end a little bit. He definitely would have hit over 30, but hit 29. His biggest home run total to that point, which was a 7-year career at that point, was 9.
Gotta hear.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask you about that.
So
Obviously,
we jumped. Yeah. We more than tripled his home run total in one off season.
Yeah.
And then he maintained it for a couple of years after that.
Yeah. So obviously that's a huge jump for a guy to make.
Yeah. He had obviously he did other things. He changed the swing up a little bit, stuff like that. I don't want to take all the credit, but I'll take as much as I can.
Of course. What were some of the biggest things that you changed of his training before you and when you got to you, and how you developed from there?
First and foremost, purposeful training. Wow, that's a big word. Purposeful training. Trying to see what was needed out of him, what he needed to be that explosive kind of guy, and then putting that into the training. So we no longer went out to the field and did 200-yard sprints just because, hey, athletes run 200-yard sprints. Why do athletes run 200-yard sprints? No, they don't. Let's learn how to run first. So the first year, we really spent a lot of time just learning how to run. And I was like, well, Yonder's not a big runner. No, he's not a big runner. But the keys in running and learning how to run and learning how to be explosive slowly start trickling into your game, And as you know, right, we've worked on that as well. Even though you're never going to be a big runner either, right?
Hey, I don't know about that.
But there's aspects of that make you really, really explosive and really coordinated, really agile at a split second, right? And I really believe a lot of that correlates into all sports, right? And obviously, then we started adding, the videos that have kind of gone viral, the hang power snatches for a lot of weight, the trap bar jumps and all that other explosive stuff that we like to do, the tissue development stuff, and then we just put it together into a package that I think really, really worked, But mindset's a big part of it, obviously, there's 100 ways to skin a cat. We could have probably gotten very similar results with a whole different kind of program. Yeah. Be totally honest with you. But the buy-in from him, right, and then understanding that what the end result was, and then the purpose on our end, kind of brought it all together.
Yeah, no, and obviously it did, because he kept that peak performance for a couple of years after that. I know he brought in Machado with him at that time. What was your first impression of him, and was his programming a little bit similar to Yonder's, or was it completely different?
It was almost exactly the same. It was almost, I don't think there was any difference, to be honest with you. If anything, there was very similar, very, very minimal things that I would, at that point, Manny's knees were a little tight, so we worked a little bit on his mobility on his knees. look, he had come off 2 surgeries, off back-to-back surgeries on his knees and stuff like that. So little things like that we kind of that we would tweak, but for the most part, it was like today really. The meat and potatoes of my workouts are basically the same from one athlete to the next, and then we'll tweak here and there as needed.
Yeah.
But we kind of have a good idea of what it is that we want the athlete to.
The foundation.
Yes. Yeah.
What was your first impression of Machado as an athlete when you first took him in?
Well, he was young and skinny when he first came in, right? Young and skinny, but he was in the beginning. It's funny, like so I'm not a baseball guy, as you know, so. Yonder's like, I'm bringing in my brother-in-law. He's the best third baseman in the game, and this and that. And I had no idea who the heck he was. So in comes in this tall, lanky kid. Looks like a basketball player, not a baseball player. But quiet, humble, and hungry. He wanted to keep up. Yonder's a strong fucking dude. Yeah. And can I say the F word?
Yes, okay. You can, man.
So Yonder's stout, like he's fucking strong, right? And Manny was just going from pound for pound from the beginning. Yeah. So when I started, I knew Manny from a different light. I didn't know all the stories or anything like that, or any of the media hoopla, right? Yeah. So I just knew a quiet, hardworking kid. Yeah. I started hearing all this other stuff. I'm like, that's not Manny, which happens a lot. Yeah. Somebody needs a billing every time. But no, he's and obviously we've grown into a great relationship through the years. He's a little brother to me, been together 8-9 years, however long, I think 8 years now. And obviously he could roll out of bed and be a monster baseball player. But the fact that he commits himself every offseason, and you've worked with him in I think, a lot in the year before.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah, that year that he was having that MVP kind of run.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I want to mention too, because he had an amazing year that year. Made a deep run in the playoffs, and then you saw him back in the gym like 2 weeks later after the season finished. Yeah. And what's one thing you wish more people knew about him? Like you said, the media, portrays a villain, but what do you wish more people knew about him as a person?
He's a genuine, simple dude that's making a lot of money. I don't think you'd know it if you hung out with him. You know what I'm saying? Aside from beautiful houses, great cars, or whatever, like you wouldn't. He doesn't rub you in the way of $300 million, I guess, plus at this point, kind of man, right? He's super simple. His wife's super simple. They're honest, kind people. I don't know how much I can get into their private lives, but they're just he's a good dude. He's not that. And if you ask his teammates, he's a great teammate. Yeah. He's a hardworking kind of guy. He understands that his legacy's at stake. And he wants to produce, he wants to win, and what more could he ask for, And then when he shows up to work on my end. So what more can I ask for,
100%. Obviously, people hearing it from your side is biased because you're his trainer, but I experienced that firsthand, and I have written down here, down to earth, because he truly is. I remember first time meeting him at the gym, normal guy, says what's up to everybody, gets to work on his business. But then it's also, he doesn't know me. He doesn't know who I am, but still was, having talks with me.
Yeah, he'll shoot the shit with you.
I remember I was always on Ox in the gym, and he's always grabbing my phone, saying my music sucks, putting music in. But it's that friendly environment that, translates into the clubhouse. And now he's become more of that leadership role to the young guys. And it's obviously. Well,
it's also been really cool to see him kind of, like I said, he was a young kid, 23, 24 years old when I first got my hands on him. And seeing him kind of evolve into this man, right? Yeah. And it's been a cool experience for me personally, because I do have such love for him. Yeah. And I mean, he's hit me up 20 times since my baby was born, just to make sure every day that my baby's good and stuff. That's the kind of dude he is. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He's got a lot going on now. And as soon as he found out, the baby was born, hey, how is she? Found out she was in ICU, hey, she better, that kind of thing.
100%. Yeah. I know that a couple years ago, he flew you out to San Diego to train him, but also educate some of their trainers on your program.
Yeah, that was actually, we went to Arizona for that.
Okay, talk to me a little
San Diego was
about
just a pleasure trip, luckily. But Arizona, we went over there kind of just to meet his trainers, kind of see, kind of show them kind of what we do and how and why we do it, what his pace is, what his rhythm is, what he likes to do in the weight room and stuff like that, so that they could get on the same page with me. And I do a lot of the guys in season program as well. Yeah. So it's good for them to kind of get a feel for what I do and why I do it, right?
Yeah.
So he flew me out there to meet them, and I had really unprecedented backstage. You know, a lot of guys don't get that. In my position or any position, backstage access to the inner workings of spring training, which is really eye-opening to what they go through. Right, it's the days are a grind. You don't do a lot of athletic stuff while you're out there, right? It's not a football game, but the hours on end, day in, day out,
in the sun, especially in Arizona, it's over 100.
Man, I was beat. I felt bad. He's like, "Oh, let's get a workout in," and I'm like, "Sure, you want to work out?" You know, when I'm on the other end, when I'm calling him, I'm like, "Hey, have you worked out today?" And then he's like, "No." You know, like, I'll get it tomorrow, and I'm like, "No, get in there now."
So then you realize how it is.
Yeah, when I realized, I'm like, you don't have to work out, dude. We're good.
And that's day 1 through 30 of 200 plus days throughout the season. So that's why they get paid what they get paid.
Definitely.
So let me ask you this: how is the buy-in from their trainers over there? Because obviously, they work for the San Diego Padres. They don't have to listen to you. How much were they willing to learn and buy into what your system
Candidly,
as well? Yeah.
It's Manny Machado. They're gonna listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It hadn't been,
No, guy that just got called up.
John Jerry, from, his first day in the league, they would have been like, yeah, shut up, man. You're a trainer? Shut up. You're doing what we're telling you to do.
Yeah.
But it's Manny, so they're going to listen.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I remember so that takes me to my first time trading with you during COVID. I'll never forget this. I walk in and we get to the running stuff, and by the end of it, I'm like, oh my God, what a really good workout. First day, hey Nick, nice to meet you. Thank you so much. Like, where are you going, man? We have lift now. I was like, man, stop playing. Like, that was a good running day. We'll come back and lift tomorrow. He goes, no, I'm being serious. And then we got to the lift, and by the end of the day, I was completely done. But I realized that was the start of something special, and it truly was, because not only physically did you teach me stuff, but mentally, mindset, working hard. And during the COVID times, 2020, those
was fun,
5, 6 a.m.
fun.
workouts, I don't know if we can talk about those on here, but point being that was, you have an environment that you've built that's just breeds success and high-level competitors.
Thank you. Yeah.
How did you start building that? Like, what are the foundations of your system that clearly work?
So I alluded to the speed part before. I'm a big believer in speed development. I took a lot of time and a lot of years learning from some very, very people a lot smarter than me when it comes to sprinting and track and field type of training. Yeah. And luckily they've taken me on and they've shown me the way. And even when they haven't shown me the way, I've stolen what they have. Yeah. But I very early on I realized that developing speed to whatever potential you have is going to go a long way in the rest of your development as an athlete, right? At whatever age, that's why I have Uni Gurriel now at 39 years old, running faster than he's ever run, literally, And I know that once he gets the call and gets into bigs again, it's going to show immediately, and just where's my camera? Mark my words. Yeah. Watch when he gets in there, just like his brother's doing right now.
Same like Segura too.
Just like Gene. Watch when Gene gets in somewhere. You're going to see something that you've never seen from him before. I promise you.
It's crazy because I saw it was towards the end of me leaving to school that he started training with you, and I saw him come in, maybe about a month, and now I'm seeing him on your stories. I haven't seen him in person in a while, but his body has completely transformed. He's bought into your system, and I'm excited to see him get that call.
I can't wait until they get the chance to show what they can do, because it's going to be people are going to like shake their heads. They're going to be like, there's no way this is happening. But yeah, so it's trying to develop kind of the neural control, the coordination to be an explosive athlete in all realms, right? Mm-hmm. Which would be linear speed, vertical jumping, whatever, lateral movement, and then the integration of that, right? And then it's the tissue development to be able to handle those stresses, right? Not just the muscle, but can the muscle and the tendon control those stress factors and that force production, right? And the ability to absorb force just as much as the ability to deliver force, right? If you can't deliver force, you can't if you can't absorb force, you can't deliver force.
Exactly.
So we do a lot of dynamic eccentric type stuff, right? Which is like, what's dynamic eccentric? Which is like really ballistic stopping of movements with a lot of weight, with a little bit of weight, from different depths, different heights, different angles.
One of my favorite ones, and it's, at first you're like, what am I doing? What is this for? But it helped me so much throughout the year was the depth drops with the dumbbells. Absorbing the force is just as important as being able to deliver it because they go hand in hand.
They go hand in hand.
What 3 key pieces of advice would you give to an athlete that's looking to get faster?
To get faster. Okay. You've got to sprint twice a week, even in season. If you don't sprint for a week, you're going to get slower. Okay. So you've got to sprint twice a week. You've got to develop your sprinting technique. That's a big piece that most people just want to try to run really, really hard all the time, which is fine. But without technique, you're leaving too much on the table. It's like not optimizing your swing and just swinging for the fences every time without having an optimal swing. Yeah. So technique, consistency, in twice a week in sprinting on the low end, and then having a program that focuses on your ability to be explosive in limited amounts of time. Yeah. Right. In whatever capacity that, like I said, my weight's not the only way. But, plyometrics, ballistic type lifts, med ball exercises, whatever your choice is, that's fine, as long as it's explosive, it's reactionary off the ground, so there's minimal time to get the movement done on the ground. And it provides that stimulus that's harder than the regular movement. Yeah,
and I know during your time, I've been blessed enough to train alongside a ton of great pitchers that you've taken in, who have made great jumps. What 3 key pieces of advice would you give to guys that are looking to throw harder?
Throw harder. Okay, so my bias is I would have you snatch. Yeah. Let's give you 3 exercises first. I would have you snatch. I would have you do Bulgarian split squats, and I would have you sprint. Yeah. Okay. Let's say it's not my bias and it's just generalized. You got to build a strong foundation. So you got to build strength, especially in the core and legs. And when I say core, I don't just mean like your abs. I mean like your hips and everything in between. Just the stability of the hip core complex, and your legs. You gotta have explosive movements in there that involve the full body, which includes the shoulder complex. And you've got to have ballistic movements in there that produce more force output that it's going to have to be required from pitching.
Yeah, I know one of your biggest foundations is the snatch, and you're the person that I snatched with for the first time, and I bought in right away. I wasn't, too sure of it, but I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And over the years, it got progressively better, and it's one of my foundations always. What's so important about the snatch that, you use it as a foundation because it works for the entire body? Yeah.
So it's amazing that I've had great buy-in from, I don't think I've ever had anybody tell me, the only person, there's been a couple people that I've had to, because of injury or because of kind of like, a history of having something, some kind of limitation in movement, where I've had to change the snatch for something else. Yeah. But it's never been like a drastic change either. It's always been something very similar, luckily. But other than that, I've had zero pushback from any baseball player, which I'm super surprised about. Yeah. It's super taboo. Yeah. In the baseball world, extremely taboo in the baseball world, and I think it's insane that it's taboo. I think it's a travesty that more and more programs don't do it. I think every program should do it, to be honest with you, especially at the college level. But basically, what you're seeing in that movement is you're seeing again this coordination between the legs and the hip and the core to be able to produce explosive force rapidly, right, and still have the stability to kind of dominate that movement as it go overhead, and then being able to absorb it. Is a big part of it, right? The ability to absorb. And again, what does it get when you're catching that snatch? You're catching, the shoulder stability. What more do we want than overhead shoulder stability as a baseball athlete, right? Whether you're hitting or whether you're throwing, right? Then that translates all through the scapular muscles into the core, through the hip again, because you're dropping your butt to catch, right? And then, am I getting too close to this mic? So you're dropping too close to catch. And you're dropping low to catch or lowish to catch, and there's got to be that instant stability, right? Yeah. And then obviously there's a lot of strength gains from that. But then even if you go back to just the original, just pull of it, right? If you think of, this is how I gave it to one coach one time. If you think of a swing, right, and obviously a swing is rotational, but you're getting the leg to drive through, and then you're getting the arm to come through, right? If you're thinking of the snatch, you're getting the leg to come through, and then you're getting the arm to come through.
And everything is
right?
in sync.
It's in sync into one movement.
So, I mean, I may be wrong. You're the expert here, but one of the biggest things that I realize is that the snatch, it does all of that for you, right? But then when it translates it to the field, if you do all those explosive movements in the weight room, whenever it's time to be explosive in the field, it's a lot smoother. It's a lot more effortless. And Manny,
there should be no effort, yeah.
Manny being one of those guys, I saw he hit a home run in Korea the other day that nearly left the stadium, and it looked like he wasn't even trying. But in reality, when you look behind the numbers, it's extremely explosive. It's just effortless because of all that tension that you put on the body in the weight room.
And if you see the guys that really snatch really well, which Manny's one of them, right? He caught on really fast. I had him snatching 135 pounds year one. We started with 10 pounds because he had never done it before. Yeah. And year one, he jumped all the way to 135. And I was very careful with him because, I was told, you got to be very careful with this guy. Don't break him, Don't break him. And he got all the way to 135 because he wanted to, right? Obviously, he was chasing Yonder, as I said. If you see him snatching, it's effortless. Just like his swing, it's effortless. It's a lot of weight moving really, really fast, and it seems like he's not even trying.
Exactly. Now, where that leads me to next is, right now you're seeing something that a lot of guys are choosing to not lift during season. Why do you feel like that's becoming a thing, and what advice would you give to those guys?
You're talking about in season?
Yeah.
I mean, you start losing any kind of gains you've ever made in a 2-week period. In a 2-week period. Like I said, speed, you start losing it in a week. You literally start seeing, especially if you've built up to really high speeds, and within a week you start losing that, right? Conditioning, you start losing a little less, in a little less time, but you also lose conditioning. But strength gains start going down almost right after speed gains. Within 2 weeks, you could already start seeing some serious detriment to your strength. So think about that from a 162 game period. What's going to happen in game 100 when you don't have the strength anymore, right? Because it's going. There's no way around it. It's going, So you want to peak yourself out to literally just have a steady decline and then kind of be sort of average at the end. That makes zero sense. That makes zero sense. I don't understand that mindset, especially when nowadays major programs around the country in baseball and football and stuff like that at the collegiate level have embraced the fact that you could actually use the in-season to continue to get better and get stronger and get more explosive. And that's been the new kind of wave that's been happening in the really successful programs. So, Alabama football, name me a baseball program that's super good right now. I guarantee you they're doing it.
Well, funny enough, a really good baseball program that's a mid-major school, not even a big school, is Campbell, which Zach Neto went to. They're one of the schools that have become amazing in the past few years, won a ton of games, made it really far. They're one of the teams that they drive around with a portable weight room. So they have like a trailer that they take on the road crazy. And the guys lift in. But they have a guy that's number 2 in the country in home runs, a guy that just made it to the big leagues in 1 year.
Right.
As an amateur athlete, how much are you missing out on a big window of development when you choose not to train in season?
Huge. You're talking about months and months and months of literally stagnating your development, actually decreasing your development a little bit because like I said, we're going to go down. We're not going to. You can't just stay the same. So you're going to go down, and 3, 4, 5, 6 months have passed, and you've done nothing to get better. Do that through a 3-year. Let's say you have a 3-year college career, and you have a 4-year college career. That's 2 years of development that you just left out the window
during prime years.
During prime years, where your body's like we talked about, Sal developing into that man body, right? You're literally transforming into a man. That's the peak time to really get really explosive, really strong, really coordinated in your movement patterns, right? That's the time to do it. And then instead, you're just going to take 3, 4, 5 months off. It's insane to me. Like I can't even like argue with it because it's like you're talking about something that just nobody should. It's like we'll
clip that one.
like how asinine can you possibly be?
Yeah.
You know, like you're literally putting no thought into your development. You're literally putting no thought into where you want to be and where you're trying to head.
No,
you know, and what are you trying to save? And here's the other part to it. This is probably even more important. And I should have started with this. Is when you're strength training, you're inoculating your system. You know, you're making yourself resilient against injury. Right, we talked about force absorption, right, and the ability to absorb force, the ability to redeliver force. If you don't train your body consistently to absorb force and to redeliver force, when you get out there and you make that movement and your body's not ready for it and your muscles aren't strong enough, and then the tendon-muscle relationship isn't there, that's when the injuries are going to come.
Especially in the middle of the season, as you start, like we talked about at the very beginning, that baseball's such a long season. You're out there for so many hours. During the middle of that season, your body is torn up just from playing the game. If your body's not used to that type of environment, that's when those injuries come. Performance starts dipping. The way I see it is that guys will go into the offseason, put in a ton of work, then they'll go in season and stop that and just focus on playing, and then they'll repeat that in a cycle, so they never make those big jumps that you see guys like Sal making, guys in the minor leagues and best college guys that continue to make constant jumps. Is because they're taking advantage of that development time during the season instead of getting to the offseason and just playing catch-up.
Right.
So then, obviously, you also see a lot of guys decide to train on their own. Why would you recommend guys to invest into a trainer, and why is it worth it? I know my answer, but I want to hear from you as well.
If you have enough knowledge, then do it.
Yeah.
If you got enough knowledge to know what your body needs and how to get there, then do it. You know, guys like, you know, myself and there's many other out there has spent decades, you know, working with one athlete to another and understanding what each athlete needs. You know, there's a lot of good coaches out there. There's a lot of shitty coaches also, right? Yeah. But there's a lot of good coaches out there that can kind of guide your path, right? And that's really, you're the star of the show. At the end of the day, you're the star of the show. Like my job is not to be the star. My job is to be your Yoda. Right, to Luke Skywalker, for all my nerds out there, right? So,
this guy.
but right, and I just got to guide you along the way, right? But if you don't have that guide and you're just crap shooting, like I said, if you know what you're doing, then fantastic. If you don't need that, that's fine. You know, I'm at the age now that I want a trainer, even though I know what I'm doing and I know I can train myself from a motivational standpoint, right? It's hard for me to get into the gym and knock out a 45-minute workout. Not the hour and a half, 2 hours that I ask of you guys, right? 2.5 hours I ask of you guys. I'm famous for extending my times. You know that really well.
Hey, once you're in that environment,
2-hour sessions could easily become 2.5-hour sessions if we didn't get everything that I wanted in, right? Are you gonna do that for yourself?
Exactly.
You know what you're saying? You know what I'm saying? Are you gonna get in all the little tedious things? I know that's one of my biggest things. All the little tedious things that keep me healthy, right? All the prehab stuff. Are you gonna really do that yourself? I know I'm not. You know, so those are all kind of things to think about.
And that's what my second half of that was my answer. Just the environment that creates is so worth it. Even if you feel like you know what you're doing on your own, you're never gonna push yourself, as motivated as you are, to that same level that you are. And that environment creates, you know, being able to train with your favorite big leaguer next to you and doing the same workouts. It's surreal. So that was gonna take me to my next question, and this is for you younger guys. So as a high school guy or even a college guy, getting the opportunity to do the same type of training as your favorite big leaguer is obviously surreal. What do you wish that your athletes understood better so that they can take full advantage of what you're giving them access to?
Their limited amount of time to get there, right? So you've been on both ends of it now, where you've been with the high school, lower, early college guys, and you've been trained with the pro guys. The training's basically the same. Yeah. I don't take a lot off of my training or my attention to detail, and I'm sure a lot of coaches are the same way. Where I give you as a high school kid or even a junior high kid is going to be basically the same exact program I'm giving my big league guys, except I'm charging my big league guys 5 times as much or 10 times 100 times as much, right? But the program's the same, right? Yeah. Or at least as similar as it can be. The methodology behind the program is the same, right? The idea of what I want to get out of you is the same. again, I say but I'm sure there's a lot of coaches out there that are in the same position I'm in. And you only have a couple years in high school to get the most out of your body. Then you only have a couple more years in college, again, to get the most out of your body, you know? And you can go to the school weight room and do their generic program, and I'm sure there's some good ones out there. Most of them are trash, straight up.
Fair.
But I'm sure there's some good ones out there, and you can do the minimal, right? Or you can take advantage of, you know, say you're smart enough to start your freshman year, the next 4 years, and just turn to a monster by the time you're a senior. Or you can just kind of go through it and see where you end up.
Yeah. And that, a lot of times, that's the biggest difference maker for guys, because they have, you know, the talent to become that monster, but it doesn't happen automatically. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that come in between.
I'll give you a couple like high school examples where I'm so glad they came to me and where they ended up, right? Eddie Leon. Okay.
Beast.
Eddie Leon, he plays at Marshall, right?
Yeah.
He's a two-sport athlete at Marshall. He's a track athlete and a baseball athlete. He's never run track in his life until he got to Marshall, because they saw him running. They're like, "Can you be on our track team?"
That's
okay.
Clip that.
He never ran track. We taught him how to run, right? We taught him how to run like a track athlete, right? They saw him. They're like, "Oh, you run like a track athlete. Come be on our track team." He obviously can only do winter because spring is dominated by baseball, but he does winter track and then he does baseball. He had no shot of getting onto the field coming into his senior year. We trained all junior year. I think it was a COVID year.
Yeah.
And he came in a totally different guy, you know. And he had been, you know, quote unquote scrub player. Yeah. And all of a sudden he could do so much for his team, including pitching, which he had never pitched either. And he dominated out there his senior year, and then got a scholarship to Marshall. You know, D1 school.
That's one of the guys that has bought in from the beginning, because you see the transformation in his body and the work ethic.
Coach, can I do it again? He'd go do 2-3 sessions of this. To the point that I'm like, no, you're going home and eating because I'm going to kill you. You know? But that's one guy, you know, and now he's a two-sport athlete at a school where in high school he couldn't get on the field as a one-sport athlete. Right? So I'm very, very proud of our program for that, and I'm more proud of him for how he tackled it, right?
100%.
And how he never gave up on himself. Marco Fuentes is another one. Yeah. You know, that's like my child. Yeah. Marco, you know, mid-low 80s, had all the potential in the world. You saw it in his body, right? We just had to chisel it out of him. You know, he came to me like a pudgy, kind of lanky, kind of weird body kind of kid, but that you saw something in him, right? And he just busted his ass day in, day out. And by the time he came out of it, you know, mid-90s, and then all of a sudden he went from, he can't get on the field because he's always hurt, to he can't get stopped. Yeah. You know, you can't stop this kid. And he, you know, and he's, like I said, he's throwing mid-90s, and he's getting a scholarship to Rice.
Yeah, and he had a crazy senior year, and you see it. That's a guy that I remember he would go on vacation or whatnot, but he would come right back and make up every workout. It wasn't, I was gone, let's see where we're at now. No, he was making everything up, and it's that stuff that you don't see that turns into the results that he's getting, you know, being able to play in TV now.
And it's a mindset, right? Like, these are two guys that had the mindset to commit, that literally were like guys that, like, you could see the potential in them, but a lot of coaches probably weren't, right? I mean, they were getting no looks, right?
At all.
And then all of a sudden, you know, like, when everything just kind of catches up to itself, and you've been putting in the work, and you have the belief in yourself that if you just push through this, you're going to get there, and it paid off, you know?
100%. Now, what would you say you rather see in an athlete, motivation or discipline?
Oh, shoot. Discipline. I love motivation. I'll give you as much motivation as I can give you. I love motivation. Motivation is always going to run dry at some point, right? Motivation is going to get you to the door. Discipline is going to keep you coming back, right? So, and disciplines and lack of discipline is what's going to cut you short, right? Yeah. All the guys that fall short are guys that stop coming to the door week 8, week 9, week 10. You know, they were super motivated in week 1. They did all my workouts. Man, they looked great, right? Week 3, they learned how to snatch, and they're already snatching, say, 95 pounds, and they've already dropped a 10th off their 30 time. Yeah. Wow, this is great, right? Motivation got them through that point, right? But they had the discipline. Yeah. So come week 6, they showed up 3 times. Come week 7, they showed up twice. Come week 8, I haven't seen them again.
And then that's where you take 1 or 2 weeks off, that follow-up starts, and then when they come back in, you got to play catch-up. And that's where, oh, Nick, but I've been training here for a year. I haven't seen anything, but what have you been doing to actually get better? 100%.
Right.
What traits would you
And you could train discipline, by the way.
Huh?
You could train discipline. You can actually, sorry.
No,
I
want to hear. No, that's good, because that's
you
something
could-
that I feel like motivation and discipline, there's a fine line that people are very motivated, but how disciplined are you?
Yeah,
So,
you can train discipline. You can put parameters that are non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Right? And what you do is you start real low with them. Start with real low parameters that are non-negotiable. I don't do this, okay? But every morning you make your bed, right? That whole military thing, right? Every morning, that's one accomplishment, check off.
Non-negotiable.
And supposedly the most successful people in the world all make their beds in the morning. That's not me. That's why I'm not so successful. But non-negotiable tasks, right? And if one of them is no matter how shitty I'm feeling, it's a day off, I don't have a game today, I'm getting into the gym. I might tell my coach, hey, I feel like crap today. I've got no energy. And then the coach should know how to get you through that. Right? That's my job, right? I tell all my guys, there's no such thing as taking an in-season off, and you know this really well. I would send you guys, guys that are my college guys, I'd send you guys a program so you guys could keep going, and it's that's really on you guys. That's total discipline, right? Yeah. But even my high school guys, my local guys, even I have like some local college guys like Wu would come in. Wu is the epitome of discipline. Yeah. That kid would show up after a game, a college game, 8:30 at night. Hey, coach, I'm on my way, and come and get his lift in. You know what I'm saying? And you train that by telling yourself, no matter how shitty I feel, I'm going to get there, and I'm going to trust that my coach is going to be able to handle that. And that's what I tell my guys. I'm like, I'll make sure I don't wear you out. Yeah. You just show up.
100%.
You know?
And that's the thing, too. A lot of guys think it's just coming in the weight room and lifting hard, but then a ton of those guys that don't see that big jump, they're missing out on their mobility, their rest days, everything like that. It's all a formula. Now, what traits have you found that the best athletes you've ever trained share in common, aside from discipline, obviously?
Discipline's definitely up there. And funny enough, just one last thing on the discipline, the really amazing athletes that I've had along the way, which I've had some spectacular athletes that I'm just like, my job is just not to break them because they're just so. The ones that haven't made it are the ones that like discipline, right? Other traits that I like to see when they walk in that I start drooling: natural speed, natural coordination, natural speed, natural coordination. I like to see a guy that's willing to come in. I'll give you another guy that's not a baseball guy. He's not even. He's actually becoming one of my coaches now. Jose Vidal didn't have a speck of athletic ability, but I told him something and he did it, and I told him something else and he did it again, and it might have looked like dog shit, but I saw that he was trying to do exactly what I was telling him to do, right, to the best of his ability, and dude became a pretty freaking nice athlete, right? Yeah. But he did that by just like being coachable. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. Being coachable. Right? I could tell you something and you try to do it to the best of your ability. I can deal with that. I can deal with a really bad athlete that is willing to understand what I'm trying to get out of him.
Yeah. That coachability, I've seen Jose make some huge jumps, and now it's almost a full circle moment because he's coming back to be a trainer for you, which is awesome. I'm going to have a couple more questions on that later, but I have a tough one for you now. I told you I was going to have some tough questions. To make this one easier, you don't have to say me, but who are the best 5 athletes you've ever trained?
Okay. Well, let's take you off the list. That way it makes it a little. We can give love to other people, right?
Fair,
I mean, it's like, we'll keep you at 1A, and then we'll take the 1B
1B,
now.
so
we'll take the
1B.
Let's take the 1Bs. The best athletes I've ever worked with from a physical.
Any sport, just at pure athleticism. I know there's some good ones there.
Yeah, there's some.
No particular order,
no particular order, and I'm just gonna and I'm probably gonna
miss out.
Yeah, there's probably gonna be a couple guys there that could go back and forth.
Nick's looking to the sky for help right now.
Don Chaney.
Yeah.
Antro Rowe. Chaney, Antro Rowe. Jordan Cronkite.
That's a fair one. I was expecting
Jordan is more athletic than most NFL guys I've trained. Yeah. John Brown is up there. John Brown, I didn't have enough time to really. We worked a little bit together, a couple of years. I would have liked to have worked with him more. Tiny guy, but one of the most explosive people. You're just the quickness out of everything he does which is incredible. He's either John Brown or Smokey Brown. He had a pretty long NFL career as a receiver.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Did I give you 5 yet?
No, we got one more.
I got one more.
There's gonna be some people upset with this, but hey, can we do drum roll? And the final name is.
And believe it or not, this guy Earl Wolf.
Of course, wow.
You know Earl?
I knew of him because he trained with you. Funny enough, I remember Joe Stella met him out once, and he took a picture with him. But I train at Boxar now, and he trains.
I got more now that I think about it. Hold on, I'm sorry. No, I'm so sorry.
Keep it going.
I gotta keep it going because I can't not
leave names out.
because this guy was incredible, effortlessly incredible. Alvin Kamara.
Name sounds familiar. I don't know.
Alvin Kamara was a running back in the NFL.
Okay.
I did his combine training along with Andrew Swayze. Alvin was he's just effortlessly just special. He started doing a lot of his work with when he got into the league with athletics, with the guys from athletics. He got famous for all the balance stuff.
Okay.
Which I'm not even gonna comment on. Like I'm not
Instagram
gonna knock my
workouts.
guys, but Alvin is an insanely just coordinated, fluid athlete.
Yeah.
I gotta put him on the list there.
This guy's trained so many great athletes.
David Njoku is David. If he just gotta keep working on his hands. Sorry, D. David Njoku, we did comment prep also in the same group, and what a freak, like the size speed combination is just amazing. There's been a couple other guys. I just drew another blank,
But to comment on Errol Wolf, that's a guy that I see him train at the gym every
Yes.
morning now. He's just a physical.
Oh yeah,
guy.
he's a
Like,
physical specimen now as a
awesome.
fitness guy, right? He's
Yeah.
famous for
Yeah.
for doing his fitness stuff now. But if you saw the stuff he did, like movement wise, explosively, it just blow your mind. Blow your mind.
Do you have one more?
Yeah, man.
Let me hear
Oh
it.
no, go ahead.
No, let me hear it.
No, I drew a blank again.
I
I
don't
don't want to
want
keep
you
this podcast going for 8 hours.
No, you're good. But then I had a good one for me. So one of the coolest things about you is the relationships that you build with all of your athletes.
Romy.
How could we leave him out?
Romy is one of the best athletes I've ever worked with in my life.
A great friend of the podcast, Romy
Yes.
Gonzalez, 100%.
Romy
That guy-
is a
He's
freaking stallion, dude. Like he's like I wish he was my son.
He was the epitome of guerrilla baseball.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
that's a guy.
What a freak athlete that guy
Man,
is.
I've been in the gym and he came on here. He made me look small.
Eddie Alvarez. Now let me include some baseball. Let me give baseball guys some love.
That's one of the guys I had in mind.
Eddie Alvarez.
Yep.
You know. So Eddie came to me. Didn't know how to freaking run. Was still fast as hell. Didn't know how to run. Because all the speed skating and stuff.
Yeah.
But silver medal in speed skating in the Olympics. Silver medal for USA baseball in the Olympics. Guy's allergic to gold apparently. But he's a freak athlete. That's another guy that you tell him, hey, I want this movement like this, and he can just make his body do it.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen before. So Romy from a power explosive standpoint, oh shit. And then Eddie from the coordination standpoint, oh shit.
And even the non-physical stuff with Eddie being so disciplined because he's overcome a ton of stuff to get to where he is. And
Can you imagine?
sixth person in the world to ever medal in two completely different sports.
And baseball, dude. Like, who picks up baseball? Like, hey, I haven't played baseball in a few years. I mean, Michael Jordan couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, the
Eddie
greatest athlete of all time, couldn't freaking get there.
You're good.
And
Eddie Alvarez.
Eddie Alvarez, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
no, it's incredible. So for me, one of the coolest things about you is the relationships that you build with your athletes. That's something that I can sit here personally and say that you've been there for me outside of the weight room whenever I had stuff going on, and that's very meaningful to me. Why is that important to you to build relationships with all the athletes that step a foot in your gym?
It's meaningful for me just because of my personality. Honestly, it's not if you look back, does it help? Yeah, I'm sure it helps a lot, right? Because it helps with the whole buy-in process. Understanding this guy's got my back no matter what. This guy, all he cares about is my success, right? So that's a nice addition to it. That's not why I don't do it with a purpose, right? I think it's just my personality is like that. I've always kind of had that. I have a 9-year gap with my brother, so I think I've always kind of had that big brother kind of personality vibe, right? So so I've always just kind of taken like I get attached to guys real quick. And when I get attached to you, like you're mine, right? Like you're my dude, and that keeps going way beyond our training, you know. And you know, if you know, like at a moment's notice, one of my guys will call me, and and hey, let's do this, let's do that, and I'll be there in a heartbeat, you know, just because I grow true love for my athletes, really at all ages, you know, and it's part of the benefit of doing what I do, right? Is to get these incredible relationships with incredible guys and girls, you know. And obviously, I think the setting lends to that, right? The setting of the hard work and the day in, day out grind, you know. And then, you know, me being the pusher, but me also being, you know, the guy that understands what's going on, you know, has been there, will grind with you whenever he can. And it kind of lends to that a little bit, so it makes it easier to build that relationship. But it's just it's one of those blessings that you get out of it without the intent, and it's, to me, it's the best part of it. It's the best part of it.
And the reason I ask you that is because I don't even think you realize the impact that you're making on so many athletes' lives, not only physically on the baseball field or the court, football field, track, but also off the field. You know, for me, a guy that I didn't make it to the big leagues, but you taught me so many skills about hard work. Like I've always been a hard worker. I'll go to the grave with that. But then you taught me to take that to a different level and being there for me too. And then guys like Romy, who he came on this podcast and gave you so much credit for giving him such a push to change his career and his life, that 2020 offseason that truly changed his life. And I don't know, do you ever sit back and realize, like, man, look at all what I've done?
No. Like I said, dude, I'm Yoda. Dude, my job is just to guide you guys along the way. You guys do all the work. You know, you guys really do all the work, and I get to enjoy watching it. You know, I really do get to enjoy watching it. The successes on the field or whatever, on the track, whatever it may be, but also just the, you know, like I said, I saw Manny grow from a 23-year-old skinny kid to the man he is today. You know, stuff like that, and those are the things that, you know, that I'll take with me.
100%. You know? And now I want to get to the business side of things, and that's something that I'm really excited about, because you're building something that's kind of become full circle. How we talked about Jose and Jordan, guys that you trained as athletes are now becoming your coaches, and you're building a system that who better to build it around than the guys that learned the system from when they were athletes to now. How cool has it been for you to get that full circle moment and having guys in your team?
It's awesome, man. It's I almost feel like I guess I know what it feels like to be my Taekwondo coach when I started coming around, and you know he'd gush over all the things, you know, I was following his footsteps or whatever, and he'd gush over it, and I'd be like, oh, what's he gushing about? You know, whatever. I'm just trying to do my thing, you know. And then now from my end, I gush over these guys and their ability to coach. You know, and they do some things way better than I do, and they communicate things better than I do. And their presence is great and stuff like that, and it's great to see that, you know. It's the full circle thing is incredibly rewarding, you know. You realize that something that you've created, or you know, a method that was in your head has caught enough of somebody's attention that they want to take the next step with it, you know, and they will. They'll take the next step with it, and they'll make it their own, and they'll make it better, and it'll just keep churning, you know.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And then from that, Guerrilla Baseball is born. I want to talk to you a little bit more about that. I'm really excited because now you're going to be able to reach and impact more athletes outside of the facility. So how did that come about, and what are your plans for Guerrilla Baseball?
Oh man, Guerrilla Baseball has been something I've been trying to put together, figure out how to do it the right way for better part of 3 years now, probably. the whole thing with the gorilla baseball was just like my guys were always just gorillas compared to everybody else, right?
Yeah.
So that's where the name kind of came from, and it was just a funny thing. It was really just for fun. And then they're like, when what are you gonna name this thing? It was like, well, you know, if we're gonna target baseball guys, let's call it gorilla baseball.
Yeah.
You know, everybody seemed to kind of like that name and stuff, so we just kind of rolled with it. But basically, it was a few people put it in my head. Have been putting it in my head for years now, for probably a decade now. It's like you've got to get to more people, and you can't do that. You know, you're localized. You got this many people here. You've got to find a way to take advantage of these, you know, these remote programs and stuff like that, and being able to offer this to the masses.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I want to. I'd love to. How do I do that? You know, so just trying to put the right team together, trying to put the right formula together where guys can get the same workout, as close to the same workout as they can get being in-house, if they're all the way in Alabama or in Wyoming or in California, right? Or in South Korea, right? It's how do we get them access to that? So I've been just trying to figure it out, trying to program it in a way that makes sense, that the exercises become learnable, right? Because we do exercises a little differently, that they become learnable on your own, right? So we're gonna launch that. With that, we're also gonna launch like basically clinics, right? Which will be in-house clinics, and then remote clinics where you can have access. And then within those clinics, we'll sit there and we will explain in detail, hey, this is what we do, this is why we do it. You come away with a program with the clinic, right? That, so now I got my program, now I know what to do. But you sat through the clinic, right? Well, it's gonna be 2 or 3 days. We'll figure that out as we launch the first one. But now you have all the tools you need to actually go in with your program and follow it from wherever in the world. And then you obviously get access to ask all the questions you need to ask, and really just get the right mindset of what the method is, why the method is what it is, right? And hopefully we could get in some cool speakers in there as well in those clinics. Some of the big league guys, some of the guys that have been through it, maybe you'll be on there if you'd like to. But basically just hear from the horse's mouth.
Real success stories.
Yeah.
So where do athletes that are interested in taking their game to the next level, where can they find Gorilla Baseball?
If I knew the website, that would help, right?
Nick Soto Performance on Instagram. Click the link in the bio and it'll be there.
Oh, is it there?
Hopefully. I don't know.
Probably, maybe.
It will be on there.
Maybe.
Shortly.
I don't handle that stuff. But Nick Soto _performance. Is that my Instagram?
Maybe. We'll figure it out. It'll be on here.
Yeah, it'll be on the thing. And then gorillabaseball.club, I think is the...
Okay. We'll clip it in there, but
Thank
athletes
you.
that are looking to seriously take their game to the next
I'd love
level.
to have you guys, yeah. That's it'd be great to grow this to something huge where everybody's doing this, the performance part of their sport, in this case being baseball, with my methods. That could be pretty cool.
Yeah, 100%. So in my opinion, and it's biased, but you're the best trainer in the world.
You're biased.
Now I've never told you why, and here's why. It's because you're always looking for ways to get better. You're always learning to bring more value to your guys, and that's some of that firsthand experience that you have a ton of books. You're always researching, always learning.
Yes.
That brings me to a simple question: what drives you?
Your success. Straight up, your success. Yeah. I live vicariously through my athletes, right? I never made it, but I might be able to help you make it. Right?
That's something that it's funny. You say, it's so simple, but that's almost how I feel now. Like I'm constantly checking my guys' stats. I get super proud of them. I've had a couple guys get some big scholarships today, and it feels so good to, guys whose shoes I was just in, being able to make a direct impact. Like there's nothing more surreal than that, and it feels amazing. And you start building relationships with all you guys. My guys are all remote. Most of them I haven't even met, but the relationship and bond we've built in such a short period of time is so rewarding. It is.
It's crazy. And the success could be long term, right? But it could also be short term, right? Yeah. Like some days I get driven just by this past month. Guys are in season, right? And we just kept getting PRs.
Yeah.
in a bunch of stuff, but more importantly for what I measure in the 30-yard sprint. We just kept getting PRs from the pro guys and from the high school guys. And it was just over and over and over again. Like almost everybody's just PRing. Like I said, baseball guys are in mid-season. Obviously, other sport guys are not in mid-season, so they have no excuse. And it was just like, and you know, and then you feel amazing, right? Like all of a sudden, you went from running a 3.630 to a 3.430.
Never did that. It was around the 4, but
but you know what I'm saying? It's like, wow, you know, like this feeling that you get inside, right? And I share that feeling, right?
Yeah.
It's awesome. And even a little smaller than that, you know, all of a sudden you learn how to there's a movement you couldn't do and you hit it perfectly, right? And it was a process that we did together to get you there, right?
And then
that keeps me coming back every single day.
And then as an athlete, now it feels real, and now you're chasing the next goal and the next.
Yeah.
So and that's how you keep buying in. That's awesome. So I gotta ask, what's next in the future of Nick Soto?
Keep doing this. Raise my 2 little girls.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully I can get a track or tennis athlete out of one of them, soccer athlete, or whatever they want to do. I don't care.
Yeah.
It'd be dance, but you know, hopefully get an athlete out of one of the 2. Get a president out of the other one. But whatever they want to do. But raise happy, successful girls. You know, enjoy my family time, and just continue to do what I do because I don't really want to do anything else.
Got it. That's awesome. Now, the way we always finish this podcast, we have a tradition.
Oh, that's a secret green book. Okay.
Yeah, there's a secret dream book. So today we have a question from one of your former athletes that he left for you, Julian Infante, and he wanted to ask you, in your day-to-day, what are you doing that truly makes you feel passionate?
My day-to-day, what am I doing truly makes me feel passionate? Can I give more than one answer?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So answer number 1 is getting to play with my oldest daughter. There's no greater feeling than getting to spend time with my oldest daughter. She's everything in this world. Yeah. She's freaking like, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it.
Awesome, bro.
But she's pause.
No fun. No, that's amazing, bro. I know how hard you worked to.
Yeah, so she's just a different human, dude. She's like, obviously she's your daughter. She's different to you, but she's a different human. She's special, dude.
Yeah, I see it from seeing her running around the gym and everything. It brings a smile to everyone there.
Yeah. So she's a character, man. She lives in her own world, and I just want that world to be what she wants it to be, you know. So that's one. And what was the question again?
No, what makes you feel passionate every day? I don't think you have to answer any more than that.
Okay, I guess we'll leave it there.
Well, no, whatever you love, but that's beautiful.
Yeah, we'll leave it there.
Nick Soto, everyone.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, bro. I love you. This is amazing.
You, buddy.
Now I need you to write a question for our next guest.
Let's do it.